Well, it is starting to look like Bitcoin is set to throw up the deuces to the bears in Tyreek Hill fashion. That's right, just like Tyreek. Once Bitcoin gets loose, there's no catching it. We have news that the greatest short squeeze we've ever seen that can send Bitcoin on its most epic bull run in history, well, it may be upon us. Breaking news, Bitcoin has closed over $1 trillion market cap for 197 days in a row. And we're just getting started. Bitcoin is consolidated at $1 trillion. And 72,000 Bitcoin have been taken off exchanges in just the last 30 days. Do you understand? A supply shock is inevitable. Hell with inevitable, it might be imminent. You're going to want to stay until the finish because we have the latest from Saylor, Max Keiser, Samson Mow, and Marathon Digital CEO Thiel, verifying the mother of all supply squeezes.
MOAS.
Also, we have the greatest bullish divergence arguably in history, and it's staring us right in the face. Welcome back, guys. I'm Rustin, head of news at Simply Bitcoin, and we have some massive developments to get to. Send it!
Bitcoin immediately goes from, let's say, 85, 90,000 or 110,000 per coin. It immediately goes to 300,000, 350,000 overnight. There's no market. There's no bid. It's the cosmic moment. If you weren't paying attention, you will find yourself on the wrong side of history. We are now entering into the Bitcoin era.
All right, who saw that debate last night? Well, what I came out of it with is this. We must save the kittens, and the U.S. does not want to be on the wrong side of what is coming. Thiel breaks down not only why Bitcoin adoption is a necessity for, national security, but also he sees something on the horizon that could play a major factor in Bitcoin going absolutely ballistic. Check it out.
Bitcoin is of national security concern for this country. Countries that operate on a Bitcoin standard from a perspective of transacting and holding Bitcoin can transact outside of the sanctions environment. They can transact outside of government controls. If the U.S. does not have a substantial amount of Bitcoin mining onshore, they can be locked out. And U.S. companies can be locked out of transacting their Bitcoin. So strategic ownership of block space is of a national security concern. And that's why with 40% of global Bitcoin mining in the U.S. must maintain dominance, not just in Bitcoin mining, but also in the holding of Bitcoin assets in U.S. companies, whether they're ETFs, whether they're Bitcoin mining companies, whether it's MicroStrategy. But the U.S. must maintain dominance because by the same reason the U.S. holds 40% of the gold reserves in the world, they can exert influence in financial markets. They have to do that as the world transitions to digital currencies. There are only 21 million Bitcoin. There never will be more Bitcoin. Don't give me a story about there's no value to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is valuable because people believe it's valuable. That's the only reason the dollar has value. It's because everybody in this room thinks the dollar has value. Bitcoin as an asset class is the perfect asset. It's hard money. You'll see countries hold Bitcoin. You'll see more and more companies hold Bitcoin. You'll see financial institutions hold Bitcoin. And as soon as the banks in the US are able to custody and collateralize Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin will explode.
I think the miners might be onto something. And this is the bullish divergence that is being neglected. Bitcoin price to hash rate. Just look at this. I mean, what does this tell you? Bitcoin miners are doubling down even though the hash rate's at all-time highs. They're preparing for something, and I think we should too. Keiser has for nearly a decade. The global hash war is kicking off, and the gravity of such a thing is, well, it's massive. I mean, think about this. We could make Bitcoin not war. Tell them, Senator Cynthia Lummis.
Wouldn't it be fun if the next arms race was not for weapons, it was for Bitcoin? Wouldn't it be fun if the U.S. is buying Bitcoin and it scares China and Russia so they start buying Bitcoin, and we have an arms race over Bitcoin instead of over weapons? Globally, we're challenging each other to have a secure store of value.
What about the father of the hash war? Let's have him break it down too, because he's saying Bitcoin is going to capture 65% of all assets, and you heard him there in the intro. You do not want to be on the wrong side of history with this. All of these things are just part of the catalyst that will lead to Bitcoin's domination. It's inevitable. It's happening right now. And you better check out this fire clip from Keiser and Robin Sears' podcast. Unleash the Fury, Max. Let's go.
At some point, nobody will take fiat for Bitcoin. So there won't be any market. It's like if you go to Venezuela and you see piles and piles of bolivars on the street that have been thrown into the garbage, would anyone trade you Bitcoin for that half-ton paper? No, it's worthless. All fiat money goes to zero throughout history for 300 years. None have survived. I think at some point, two things will happen. Number one, Bitcoin will be priced in gold. So you'll see the Bitcoin to gold price will be the most common reference point for Bitcoin. Also, you'll see Bitcoin priced in energy.
It's interesting. What is for you the most important metric in Bitcoin?
The hash rate. The hash rate shows commitment from the global community. And the hash rate just hit a new all-time high. The hash rate's been in a bull market since day one, really. If you look at a chart of the hash rate, it's different than the chart of the price. 1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin. Just like 1 ounce of gold equals 1 ounce of gold. Gold is now hitting new all-time highs. It's still 1 ounce of gold. That the amount, the supply, the global supply, which is roughly up maybe 3% a year, it's not dramatically changed from a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, but the price is up dramatically. What's that telling us? That's telling us that the fiat money world is losing confidence. Now, if you look at Bitcoin versus gold, well, gold's been around for a long time. It's got a total market cap of roughly $13-14 trillion. Bitcoin to maybe $1.2 trillion. Bitcoin's going to at least equal the market capitalization of gold in dollar terms. So you've got now a 13-14x just to get to gold, which is a lot higher than the current price. And then, of course, it should exceed gold. It should also demonetize not only gold, but demonetize the bond market, demonetize the property market, demonetize the stock market. So now you're talking about Bitcoin worth 100 trillion, 200 trillion, 300 trillion. These are all completely within the realm of highly probable.
Still not convinced? You probably still think Bitcoin won't reach 100,000. Well, we're here to tell you that global liquidity is giving us the answer. It's telling us what's coming and why you should be stacking. Check this out. Ooh, look at that bad boy right there. Okay, so we got a cup and handle. The surge in liquidity is going to significantly impact Bitcoin's price. Bitcoin is forming this cup and handle with a breakout looking like maybe mid-September during or after Jay Powell's Fed meeting. This could trigger a major rally, signaling the start of what analysts are calling the 2024-2025 Bitcoin bull run. And another bullish indicator, the long-term holder supply, which until press time, long-term holders have kept 16.13 million Bitcoin for more than 155 days, with the previous all-time high reaching 16.29 million BTC in December 2023. We see a lot of accumulation by long-term holders, including institutions now. This all reinforces the likelihood of Bitcoin heading higher in the coming months. And not to mention, the funding rates have stayed bullish for over a year, supporting expectations of a strong price rise. Bulls have absolutely dominated the futures market for 381 days. And if you smell that on the horizon, growing global liquidity will likely keep pushing Bitcoin higher and higher and in the near future. We'll talk about some promising looking data points, but our bears still don't understand their lack of time preference and the knowledge of understanding the power of absolute scarcity. I don't think they're going to make it. They think the Bitcoin price cycle is broken and it's all over. But you don't have to be on the wrong side of history like those guys. You could be like Fidelity, back in the green. Fidelity buys 1,100 Bitcoin. Here we go. And as we discussed Monday, veteran trader Peter Brandt has hinted at an incoming parabolic rally for Bitcoin. He's also citing the cup and handles, suggesting that 73,734 is the crucial level for Bitcoin to breach. But his chart also shows a parabolic curve pattern that could send Bitcoin above 150,000 sometime in the next year. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not sure if that's bullish enough. Luckily, Saylor just dropped a keynote on X, and as usual, it'll probably lead to you losing all muscle control due to the bullish mania that will onset after listening, which is why we should roll it.
We don't want 19th century speed or 20th century speed. Bars of gold settle in T+1 year. Takes a year to settle. No one's got a year. So we went to stocks and bonds. They took a week to settle in 1970 and 80. Eventually, they got down to a day. Bitcoin settles in an hour. I can move $10 billion in an hour. That's just the beginning, because we're going from someone, somewhere, sometime can settle in a day to a week to anyone, anywhere, anytime can settle any amount of money in an hour. But Bitcoin's an open digital protocol. And what that means is it's going to improve exponentially. Now think about T+1 minute. because that's what you can do when you start to embrace the open protocol. And on the Lightning Network, T plus 1 second. But really, we're headed toward a world where we're going to settle T plus 1 millisecond. So you can see here, gold was never going to work in the 20th century. And you can see why T plus 1 day for a few people is never going to work for the digital future. And that takes us to the digital gold rush. Today, there's 19.7 million Bitcoin. In 2034, there'll be 20.8 million Bitcoin. You've got 10 years. That's the gold rush. We're headed toward a point when 99% of all the Bitcoin is mined. That's the point of absolute scarcity. The last 200,000 Bitcoin come out over 106 years. What does that mean? There's going to be reflexive price shock at 0.99. At 0.99, and you've only got 3,759 days, that's all you have. There's only 1,145,000 Bitcoin for sale. At today's price, it's $74 billion. MicroStrategy will buy $5 billion of Bitcoin in 1 year. This is not a lot. This is a trivial amount. The price cannot stay at this level. After 0.99, Bitcoin creation is offset by lost Bitcoin. The supply is effectively fixed. It's the inflection point where Bitcoin becomes the world's first deflationary asset. There's never been anything like it. Right? It's more scarce than land in Manhattan. It's more scarce than anything you can name, anything you've ever invented. The fact is, no one's ever seen this before. Therefore, you can't compare it to anything. It becomes the world's first perfect money. Institutional adoption of Bitcoin, they're all coming, right? This is the institutional distribution of Bitcoin today. 12 ETFs in the US, 28 global ETFs. They're holding 1 million Bitcoin. There's 27 publicly traded Bitcoin miners. There's 28 public companies with Bitcoin. There's all sorts of derivatives. This is no longer a crypto bro thing. What's the future? Bitcoin's going to be driven by approval of bank custody. That's going to be profound when you can buy, sell, and hold Bitcoin at a JP Morgan or a Bank of America. And that'll come sometime over the next 4 years. Approval of in-kind creation, a digital assets framework. Artificial intelligence is going to drive profound increase in equity values and capital, which is going to flow into Bitcoin. It's happening. No one can stop it. The issuance of sovereign debt is going to drive Bitcoin, right? I mean, we don't have to worry about the government's not borrowing money. Integration with big tech is going to drive Bitcoin. Hey, awareness and chaos, they're going to drive Bitcoin. So this is coming.
I hate to break it to you, Bears. You might want to check your shorts. Hey, don't have to take my word for it. I have Jan3 CEO Samson Mow here, and he's going to verify it. We just got new fire from Jan3, and you think Samson Mow is backing down right now? Hell no! He's doubling down. He's got math and the soundest money ever created or discovered on his side. But before we bring it home and crush all the Bears' hopes and dreams, look at our likes!
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
Hey, like and subscribe this video. Give us a pap as we take a moment to recognize our sponsors, the masters of Bitcoin self-custody, the Bitcoin way. Guys, being that we live in clown world, it's pretty easy to understand the why Bitcoin, but over at the Bitcoin way, that's where you're going to learn how to Bitcoin. Check out their newly revamped website. If you're looking to become a master of Bitcoin self-custody, no one makes it easier. From setting up your first wallet node to inheritance planning to everything Bitcoin sovereignty, they got you covered. Hey, and if you're looking to get started, you can schedule a free 30-minute consultation with the Bitcoin way using that link in the show notes.
You made headlines earlier this year when you said that Bitcoin could reach $1 million this year, and if not this year, 2025. Do you still stand behind that?
I think so. The market's wrong. Like, Bitcoin is massively undervalued right now at whatever it is, 56,000-7,000 per coin. There is just so little Bitcoin out there. You can't double your holdings as a large entity at this point. So it's going to shoot up. The pressure has to be alleviated in other ways. So what I see right now is Bitcoin's like a beach ball, and we're pushing it underwater right now, and people are starting to get bored. Maybe it's intentional, maybe it's paper Bitcoin, shorting Bitcoin and pushing the price down, but that is not sustainable simply because there's so much buy demand. Every quarter, Tether is going to be buying Bitcoin. Every couple months, MicroStrategy is buying, Saylor is buying, and we're going to see more and more of that. One of the largest pension funds in the world in Korea is allocating to MicroStrategy now. So you can see the tide already turning, but just like in The Big Short, the market takes time to realize what's happening. It's always going to be the people that are paying attention to Bitcoin that see all these factors and are allocating to it. This is why Michael Saylor is going to try to buy as much as he can right now.
This is hilarious. $1 million Bitcoin is dangerous. Let me tell you what's dangerous. Destroying the middle class and stealing their wealth through inflation. Not good. You know what Kobe would say to all those people scared of $1 million Bitcoin? That's right, baby. Time to man up. A new era and a new dawn is upon us. Let's go get it. Stay locked in. Like, subscribe, set those notifications. Follow us on Twitter for all the latest breaking news. And we will be your guide through the peaceful revolution. I'll catch you all next time.